Hi everybody, welcome to this general playthrough for the 18-hole cup and divisions that you can see displayed on the screen right now. Before we look at the shots, please hit thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Replays and adjustments for all 18 holes, you will find timestamps in the description down below, and remember to tweak according to your club's balls and play style, as well of course as the different wind angles that you may experience during the week, because this is a general playthrough only, but we'll give you an idea of how you might want to approach the holes. Bear in mind, some of these shots may feature old replays from the archives here on the channel, and in which case they will have the old ball attribute levels. So please watch carefully and write down any tweaks as needed. Good luck. Here we go. On this par 4, excellent opportunity playing down the left-hand side. Going to use a katana here. Obviously, if you are up in expert, I would recommend you use a kingmaker to cut the wind down. 5 bars of top spin, 1 bar side spin to the left. You can push this with a bit more top spin if you'd like. Obviously, if you do have straight tailwind, you would need to reduce the top spin slightly. But here I'm going medium distance, 20% elevation, aiming with the ball guide right down the middle of the fairway on the left. And I do believe the left side play does offer the best chance at the eagle with a short iron rough bump. So perfect ball here with our mid plus 20. We bounce over the rough and the bunkers nicely, and we're going to write down our drive distance here because we will use that for the second shot. So here for drive, 320 yards. Going to play with the runner, and I'm going with that because we do need top spin. So we're going to add our top spin, and also playing with max side spin to the left. Then we are going to aim at the pin. Obviously, different levels of runner are going to have different ball guide. So if you've got a higher level short iron, we maybe could use the Hornet as well with more ball guide. You will have to obviously judge according to the ball guide stat you have. But we are going to aim at the pin with our top spin and left spin. Then here I'm playing 80% slider, 10% elevation. That is due to this wind angle only. If you've got different wind angles, the slider values will vary. Tutorial videos on using the slider and club range available on the Academy tutorial playlist on the channel homepage. Perfect ball away, and this one drops right at pin. So a runner, top spin shot, or the Hornet, excellent chance for an eagle on this par 4. On this par 3, if we do have tailwind, we're going to play with the sniper, but any headwind angle we can go with a quarterback rough bump. Applying spins as shown, we're going to set up in the rough, and we're going to have the ball guide going through the hole. That's because we do have headwind angle. We want to compensate for the wind push, and the actual compressed flight of the ball will get according to what is shown. Here I'm playing this one max plus 10. Once we've adjusted, we actually push up 1 ring, and that's because we adjust from a higher point to a lower point and we lose distance on our shot. So if you do not push up here, you will hit the rough too near to the tee, as in further away from the green, and you will lose distance. That's why we do need to push up in this wind angle. Perfect ball away, and this does have an excellent chance of going in. Lovely smooth green, and we drop it right at the pin on this par 3. Par 5 now. Obviously, if you are playing an expert and you do have this wind angle, you will have more wind strength than shown here, as this is from pro, in which case you can send it with max topspin, max over power, and try and get over the stream and the rough down the fairway for a long iron approach. But if you don't have the wind strength for it or don't fancy it, then lay up. Blue ring touching the rough there with the quarterback 10 at max power 5. And then we are using obviously the quarterback for the wonderful ball guide and accuracy. Max plus 10 is the adjustment here. No need to get giddy with the top spin. Just tap it down safely to lay up towards the end of the fairway. Obviously we don't want to risk the rough. If you do find the rough here, you're not going to be able to reach green in 2. So, reason we're using a berserker is really for the second shot, so we can still use the sniper rather than big dog or cataclysm, because we want ball guide to try and play aggressively. Between 5.5 and 6 top spin, 2 bars side spin to the right, and here I am having to stretch out ever so slightly, but that's fine, we can still work with that, and we're going to see the second bounce in the rough and then the ball guide emerging from the rough running down to the green and the pin. The adjustment here is maximum distance 5% elevation, max plus 5. And because I was stretching out, I am going to push up the amount of rings that I was needed to find my landing position. So obviously if you do have slightly longer on your drive, you won't need to stretch out and push up, but obviously if you are shorter, then you will need to do that, otherwise you will come in short. Perfect ball away, and the ball bounces in the rough second time very nicely. And we just missed this one a little bit too high, so a fraction too giddy on the push-up, but still a very decent chance. Playing with the APOC, 4 top spin, 3 bars side spin to the right. You don't need the level 6, however you could play this very easily with an APOC 4 and even an APOC level 3. You would need to push up a few yards. So plus 10 with APOC 5 plus, and it's at max power 3 with APOC 4. The adjustment is max plus 10. Max plus 10, and the amount of topspin is determined really by the wind angle. If you have more tailwind, you'd need to reduce the topspin slightly. Going with just under 2 balls of curl to the right, no overpower, hitting perfect, and the right spin and the curl combined with the topspin will bounce in the middle of the fairway, second bounce in the rough, and then it will roll out and onto the green for a simple putt for the eagle. Could even push that a little bit further if you want to get it close to the pin. We're going to play a rough bump, as that is, in my opinion, the best chance for a hole in one. The bounce over is a little bit tricky. I'm keeping the wind below 8 miles an hour, as this was from a previous expert tournament, and I'm playing with the quarterback. 4.2 backspin, 1 bar side spin to the left. Setting up here with the inner or the green ring touching the rough line, ball guide aiming just around left side of the cup, very close though to middle of cup. It's important to dial in your aim depending on your wind angle. In this predominantly tailwind angle, I'm playing mid plus 15 power 3 settings. Mid plus 15 power 3. Different wind angles may cause you to adjust to a higher or lower point, so make sure you take a token or two if you want to try and dial something in yourself. Perfect ball away, catches the rough beautifully, and the backspin grabs, and we drop that one right at pin for a lovely hole in one. Nasty wind angle to show you on this one, but a very good way even with that to get an albatross. Playing with the extra mile, obviously Apocalypse would work as well, or Thor's hammer. A few clicks of top spin and 1 bar side spin to the left. Playing with the Kingmaker just to reduce the wind here down to 5.8. And I'm setting up at plus 3 with the extra mile level 8, red ring touching the rough on the left. The adjustment is max plus 10. The reason I use a Kingmaker is to cut down on the amount of overpower needed. Just takes me into the red with the adjustment, so I'm going to add a few clicks of overpower on. You will see the circle just starting to shake slightly, but it's very manageable and easy enough to hit perfect. No curl, because the slope on the fairway and the left spin will do exactly what we want, and we want to finish there in the middle of the fairway around 305 to 310 yards. Second shot, we're going to go with the rough bump to try and take the second bounce out of the equation. So I'm checking my club distance, going to min line and max line, then I'm adding some spin, 4.2, 4.3 top spin, little bit of side spin to the left, and the position that works nicely here is having the red ring completely inside the rough line. So you'll see there the top of the red ring touches the rough line, everything else fitting within the rough. In terms of the red ring, ball guide just through the hole to compensate for the headwind angle. The adjustment is true club distance minus 10, so that's TC on the notepad. I estimate this to be around 60 or 65% slider if I remember correctly. That's the distance of club just beyond medium distance, so I'm playing 60 or 65% slider. Always check the distance yourself, but a perfect ball catches the rough nicely, and the top spin takes us to the pin for an albatross. Two options here on this par 3. Slight headwind angle, we're going to play with the quarterback from the minimum distance line with a power 3 ball. Playing with 2 bars of left spin and just under max backspin, around 6 to 6.2 bars of backspin. So you do need quarterback 10 for this one. Setting up there, you can see with the ball guide aiming at the pin. And we've got to find a decent way to adjust here. Zoom in as much as you need to so you can see your rings clearly. Here I'm playing minimum distance, 15% elevation, power 2 settings. Minimum distance, 15% elevation, power 2 settings. Unfortunately I do hit a minor great right, but this one is still going to come in okay. And obviously a perfect would have been right at the pin in my opinion, but that is the type of shot we'll play in headwind. Any form of tailwind I would go with the sniper, but if you don't fancy the quarterback you can still play with sniper before the bunker. So going with a bit of top spin, 3 bars side spin to the left. Now we're setting up a little bit closer to the sand here. If you do have tailwind angle, I would suggest you set up a little bit further back, probably with the top of the white ring touching the bunker and then using a little bit more top spin. In the video here I'm playing mid distance, 20% elevation. Sometimes if you've got wind the other way you are going to adjust uphill, which is going to add distance, so that's why I would suggest, especially in wind from right to left, that you would set up a little bit further back. You don't want to career directly into the bunker. Perfect ball away with our mid plus 20, and this one drops beautifully for a hole-in-one. Layup option here for nasty wind angles. No target with the rock and a power 3 ball. Playing with 2.5 bars of backspin here. We're going to lay up on the right for second shot with our sniper. Obviously if you do have a decent amount of tailwind, then by all means we should be playing aggressive on the left hand side with a berserker and as much topspin as possible. Those shots are going to be more feasible in expert rather than pro due to higher wind speeds. Adjustment here is max plus 10. No curl, no overpower, just hit perfect. Using the rock for accuracy and once again ball guide. And this one is going to approach the top left corner of the fairway nicely. Drive distance to 75. Second shot here we are going to go with a rough bump. Now here, although I am near minimum distance of club, I'm still going to play mid numbers here because that's the adjustment that's working very nicely. In fact I'm setting up at the minimum distance line first of all, and then just pushing up a few rings to try and find a consistent landing position. 4.5 top spin and between 1 and 1.5 bars side spin to the left. It will vary depending on your drive, so just find a consistent spot in the rough where the ball guide doesn't glitch. Here I'm playing 1-on-1, is mid plus 10 power 3, so 5.2 in wind is 5.2 rings. Then we are going to take our shot, perfect ball away, and there is a nice little route down from the rough here. As long as you get that consistent landing position, very good opportunity for an eagle, even though we are laying up and playing with a sniper. Now on this par 5 we do need curl because we do have severe dogleg to the right. Playing with the quarterback, 2.5 top spin, 3 bars side spin to the right, setting up at max with the blue ring, touching the rough on the right. Medium distance, 10% elevation is what we play here. Medium distance plus 10. Then we're going to go with 2 balls of curl to the right. There are some slice shots you can play here, and if you do have strong tailwind you can gamble and go straight ahead, but you will need a good wind speed and plenty of top spin. So this is a hole where most of the time you are going to be settling for the eagle, but there is a chance of an albatross even with this play. Checking club distance by putting the bullseye over the edge of the bunker, doing a sand check here because this was from tournament play, and then adding spin so the ball guide is pointing at the hole but stopping a little bit short. Reason for that is we do have tailwind angle and the green does slope downhill towards the beginning of the green and also to the pin, so we don't want to come in too hot and risk the rough. Here I'm playing with the sand check values that I was dialing in. It is between medium and maximum distance, 15% elevation. Be careful in certain wind angles, you will adjust and lose the ball guide if the trees are in the way, so if that is the case, do play with some curl so that you're not clipping any of the trees. Please do join us over on Facebook. We have an ever-growing community of players there. Over 16,000 members.
Head over to Facebook, search for BK Golf Clash and submit your member request there. Free to join, there are free guides posted, lots of shot sharing and discussion points. You can chat and interact with me as well, and loads more over on Facebook. So head over there and search for BK Golf Clash.
There is a rough bump as well, a little bit glitchy, but it still has a chance if you can find a consistent spot. Playing with a sniper, and then I'm adding spin. It's 3.5 backspin, a little bit of side spin to the left, setting up with the red ring touching the bunker at +9 with sniper level 10. Will be +11 with sniper level 9. So power 3 ball is advisable here. Then the adjustment is max +20, power 2. Max +20 in this wind angle. Again, keeping the wind below 8 miles an hour, something we do quite a lot in Expert just to increase our chances. But you don't have to play with a wind 4 ball if you get high wind. All depends what suits your ball bag and equipment the best and your play style. But that drops in very nicely for a hole-in-ones. Tricky one to actually drop an eagle on unless you go for the aggressive rough bump. I'm going to play the more general approach here. The drive is the same regardless of what approach you play, and I like the quarterback for the ball guide and accuracy. Just over 1 bar of backspin and a little bit of side spin to the left. White ring touching the rough. If you have headwind angle or crosswind, then I would reduce the backspin. Make sure your first bounce is comfortably over the rough, otherwise you may clip the rough and roll out, or not roll out if you are a little bit unlucky. 1-on-1 is the adjustment, so 7.1 in wind. I'm adjusting 7.1 rings. Nice simple setup here. Bounces nicely over the rough and approaches the end of the fairway. Anywhere around here is fine. 294, 295 yards. Second shot, if you want to go with a rough bump, then a side spin 4 ball and the sniper will be the best way of attacking the pin. It is tricky though, because you are just downhill into the bunker or slightly uphill onto the fairway near the green, so that is one to take a token on. But if not, then play with the Guardian and go with max backspin as I do here. Leave the second bounce short and left of pin to compensate for the wind push we get, because we have tailwind going from left to right, so that will extend the ball guide that is shown on screen. True club distance, 10% elevation here. Don't need to worry about compensating for the loss of distance, because I've already factored that in with leaving the ball guide slightly short as well. Perfect ball has a chance. This is a tricky one to dial in because there is a very high second bounce, which we'll see just there, so the wind will affect that a little bit. Very unlucky here, we hit the pin and roll a short distance away, but a couple of options to consider. We now move on to a par 5, and once again I'm going to play with the quarterback. There is an aggressive option on the right hand side with an APOC, but you would need a power 5 wind 3 ball really if you want to try and go for the rough bump, playing with curl on the drive from the APOC. But here, for a more general club level, the bounce over with the quarterback, plenty of left spin needed here, setting up at +9 with the quarterback level 10, and the adjustment is max distance, 10% elevation. A little bit of left curl here, outer wall left curl, ball touching the outside wall of the adjustment ring to the left. Hitting perfect there, minor great left, minor great right, I would think would be fine with the quarterback or the rock, of course. And we want to lay up towards the end of the fairway, drive distance of 304. Playing this route really takes the albatross out of the equation unless you are really lucky, but it does secure the eagle, and if you're not confident in going for the rough bump, then this will be the approach for you. Adding spin, we need all the right spin and some back spin as well, and we're setting up with a red ring touching the rough, because I'm going to use a bit of curl, especially in this wind angle, so I don't want to set up too close to the rough. That also safeguards against hitting a great right. Second bounce just on the beginning of the fringe, and the ball guide aiming left of pin. Then we are adjusting true club distance, 5% elevation, because I'm 2 yards away from max. I'm deducting 2.5% slider, so this one is played at 95% slider, 5% elevation. More information on club distance using a slider and min, mid and max on the Academy tutorial playlist on the channel homepage. Bit of right curl brings it in nicely. Not a bad attempt, very easy eagle putt though, which is all we can ask, playing safely on the left side. Par 4 here, and another excellent opportunity for an eagle. We do need topspin. 6 topspin, 3 bars side spin to the right. Katana is fine in pro. In expert I would use a kingmaker. Setting up there with the bullseye comfortably away from the rough. Then we are going to adjust max +5 using power 2 settings as I'm using a katana. 3/4 of the ball curl to the right. Minor great right is still going to be fine with Thor's hammer. And we bounce nicely and comfortably before the end of the rough, and we roll very nicely indeed. Here we can use yardage notes, so 340 yards in this wind angle, going to be playing with the short iron of course, and we are playing 25% elevation according to drive distance. It is going to be between 75 and 90% slider, but obviously with different wind angles you're going to be playing different elevations or different percentages. So this is one where it's useful to take a practice token or two first just to dial in what you might need to do with the short iron shot. Very good chance though for an eagle. If you don't want to dial in with drive distance, my recommendation will be to play true club distance, either 15 or 20% elevation. Tracking beautifully and drops lovely eagle on this par 4. A very tough par 3 to get consistency on here. This is a no movement target approach with snipe and kingmaker, so don't touch the target until you adjust your rings. 3 backspin and it's just over half a bar side spin to the left. Very difficult to get consistent bounces here and a consistent route to the pin. So if you do drop this one, it is a real bonus. The adjustment here is max +15, power 2 settings. Max +15, power 2 settings. No movement target, so it does make it nice and simple in terms of finding landing position. We do hit perfect, coming in nicely but just going to miss on the right hand side, but nice to get a zoom in on this very tricky par 3. Now here we do have cross tailwind, going to play with the quarterback for the curl. Obviously APOC is also a very good club here because we do need plenty of curl to the left. We want to try and get onto that small patch of fairway you can see on the left hand side. So playing with 3 bars of left spin, katana or kingmaker, and then we're going with a little bit of top spin as well. Don't go too giddy on the top spin, you can get an occasional glitch roll here on this shot which takes you to the rough, which is something we don't want to do. Maximum distance 0% elevation, and then with the quarterback here level 10, I'm going with full curl to the left. Hitting perfect, and we bounce comfortably away from the rough, nicely over the rough there, and it rolls along the fairway, and we're not risking the glitch roll here. 320 yards. Second shot, there's a very nice route to the pin with a rough bump, so we are going to play with top spin and side spin to the right. Try and find a decent spot in the rough for your first bounce, and then get a nice route to the pin. You can see it's not really a funnel, but the ball guide doesn't jut around too much, so it's a nice and steady landing position. Then we're going to play true club distance, 10% elevation. More information on that, as I said, on the Academy tutorials. Do check that out. So here playing 95% slider, 10% elevation, 2.5% per yard, and we were 2 yards away from max. Minor great ball, still going to hit the rough beautifully though, and we do come in nicely, but this is the shot you want to try and go for to get a good albatross to finish your round. A difficult one to dial in here. The wind angles will have quite an effect on the trajectory of the ball because of the long second bounce. But the quarterback is the play. 2.6 backspin, 2.3 side spin to the right. It will vary depending what wind angle you have. That is what is working in this one for me though. I'm looking at the blue ring touching the beginning of the fringe, and the blue ring also touching the rough on the right, and that's a setup I'd be using regardless of the wind angle because it gives me a nice consistent bounce. Mid +20 is the adjustment for this particular direction. No curl, just hit perfect. Like I said, tough one to drop here. Getting the speed right is difficult on this green. It slopes up to the pin, flattens out and then slopes away, but we get a lovely speed here, hitting the pin and falling nicely for a hole in one. But this is a tricky par 3. We get tailwind, we've got to go aggressive, and we've got maximum wind strength in expert level here to give you an idea of what you could be dealing with. In pro it's a little bit trickier because your wind strength will be less, but we want to get down that fairway as much as possible. We're going here with plenty of top spin, 2 bars side spin to the left, setting up at plus 24 with the APOC 5 and above. At APOC 4 that will be at max, so you can play this with lower level APOC. Extra mile 9 could work as well, as could the big topper. Little bit of a push up depending on the wind strength. This was dialed in from a previous tournament. Full overpower with a slow needle. Don't need to push up to max because then you would land directly in a hazard and not bounce over at all. So this is one where you need to look at the wind direction. But a nice slower needle helps me hit perfect, and we get the ball down very nicely with the top spin and the tailwind. Drive distance of 448 yards. If you can't get distance on the drive, there is a rough bump that can be played here. Layup, that is usually with the sniper. And if you're mid-distance on the fairway, you can go grizzly or long iron. But here I'm playing with the thorn because I gained plenty of distance on the drive. I was doing a back fringe check because, like I said before, this was dialed in from a previous tournament. Different wind angles that you may get would need different reference points as well. But I'm playing a no spin shot, leaving the ball guide short of the pin because of the tailwind. And it's true club distance really, and it's 20% elevation. This plays considerably downhill. If you have crosswind here and you've got down there enough with your drive, maybe using a top spin ball. If you haven't had enough tailwind, then you might want to increase the elevation because you've got the side wind on the second bounce, so it's going to affect the ball a bit more. But here, a perfect ball away, and we drop it nicely for an eagle on this par 4.
If you are enjoying the free content here on the channel and want to help out and keep everything free, then please consider making a small donation. All donations are gratefully received and help me out here on the channel, as all of the content here is produced for free in my own spare time. You can do that in one of 3 ways. You can hit the thanks button here on YouTube, you can make a PayPal donation via the link in the description down below, or you can also join us over on Patreon. Details at the end of the video.
Albatross finish coming up here, playing with the extra mile with 6 bars of topspin. You could do this drive with 4.5 topspin if you don't have extra mile 8 or any other driver with 6 topspin, but you'd need to go with a bit more overpower. Setting up at max distance, power 3 ball, then I'm adjusting max plus 10 on this one, and the idea is we want to bounce firstly on the fairway, second bounce in the rough, and then the topspin will roll us out nicely onto the next piece of fairway. We could push up as well to compensate for not having 6 topspin available, depending what clubs you have available, but there you see the top spin grabs very nicely, and we want to approach the end of that shadow around 365 yards. Second shot is going to be played with our long iron. If you're worried about being short on the drive, then you might want to go with the Goliath here, but a decent distance and sufficient top spin, you can use the Grizzly. Red ring touching the rough, ball guide I'm putting there just through the hole. And I've previously checked my club distance on this one, and I'm going to play this true club distance 5% elevation. True club distance plus 5. So if you're near max, we'll play it near max on the slider. But if you think you're mid, then you'll play mid distance. You have to judge depending on the distance of your drive. You could use drive yardage notes as well if you're dialing in yourself. Perfect ball away. Maybe just misestimated the slider. We just sneak it in on the right side, but it falls nicely for the Albatross.
Thanks very much for watching this video here on the channel. If it has helped you in any way, please consider sharing it amongst your friends and clanmates in the game. Join us also on Facebook. Head over there, search for BK Golf Clash and join our free group. Loads of members there sharing shots. Free guides are posted, as well as loads of other great Golf Clash resources. So check us out there. You can join in the discussion and also leave feedback on the game in general. Finally, if you wish to help support the channel and keep the content free for everybody, please consider becoming a Patreon member. The link is in the video description down below. Good luck, see you soon, bye for now.